hope he comes up here
Step away from the
and
camera.
doesn't run.
Hear me.
Big pastor.
You didn't see the.
I saw the one where we go like.
Yeah, it's just funny because I told Catherine, I was like, Kat, guess what just happened?
Talía, cuéntame. No, es que me mandaron a enfocarme solamente en firma, pero le estaba diciendo al compañero que aquí tenemos el canal nuevo del caso de sabernos bien.
Oh, playing the deck. Playing the deck. She's our lawyer.
You can take that.
Pero si le pones el
Sorry, I shouldn't set up the sound.
I mean, if you have time. If you have time. It won't hurt. It wasn't as necessary. Slip. Be helpful.
Good job. Good job.
Yeah. That was a happy moment.
Could be like Tetris.
Get feedback.
Good. Is it already done?
Yeah.
Can you, I know, I just,
Yeah, I got that.
oh yeah, I saw you left your coat in the pew at court. And, where were we?
Yeah.
Yes, that was you. In the, I called them the pew. That court, yeah, Rockville.
That's right.
Yeah, I never. They stay so.
Sometimes these hearings go for
Hours. And I couldn't tell if she said she will make a decision today or not. I couldn't understand
I
it.
think we'll
Yeah,
get
but then she was like,
Last time.
send me a thing of the motions you want me to rule on.
By tomorrow.
I was so
Oh, that's what she said?
Well, essentially, I feel like she has to probably put her findings out before they submit.
Got it.
What I understood.
I was gonna ask them. So afraid I'm gonna fall in. It turns out it's that way.
Yeah.
You wanna do that? I have this mic. If you wanna use it or just get the video, you wanna do that? And then I can make sure your camera doesn't.
Or I'll just get a video on my phone.
Okay. So that you don't have to upload.
Testing, testing, testing.
I feel like you're not going to.
Habla otra vez, José.
Testing, testing, testing. You guys can hear me well? Yeah, I'm good.
Yeah.
Which is, I don't know. But I felt like they could.
Yeah.
They were like, well, you can refugee on the
I did one set of I didn't do that one side. So it's so I took that to political. That's what's in the competition already.
And I thought I heard you say, you know, other people I'm sorry.
Oh, no, you're fine. Thank you very much.
And this one, oh wait, are they both out? The white shirt is out? Or is Hey, you're welcome. Okay, so I can put it like that. This is, Bridget is so, these are really, I'm sorry that's not fair. How long did it take you to get here? An hour?
Yeah.
You know how long it took me? 19 minutes.
Good for you.
I know. It's the best commute I've had in years. I don't know why I did that.
Probably best to see yeah, but I'm not sure if
mucha casa!
Thank you, Nayi. Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Viviana Lozano, and I am the Maryland Organizing Deputy Director for We Are Casa. First, I want to thank our community and every single person who has continued to stand with Kilmer and his family throughout this process. Since day one, your presence, your voice, and your unwavering support have carried us to this moment. We are deeply grateful the Kilmer family, the Kilmer is finally home. That outcome was only possible because of readiness, advocacy, community organizing, and the power of people coming together to demand this release from detention. At the same time, we recognize that this fight is far from over. We will continue speaking out against the cruel injustice carried out by ICE and this administration. And we remain committed to fighting for dignity, justice, and due process for all immigrant families.
That's right.
Before we hear from Kilmer's legal team, I would like to invite Padre Vidal to come forward and lead us in a few words of prayer for Kilmer, his family, and our community.
Tomada de la primera carta de San Juan.
I will be reading for the first letter of John.
Entonces amémonos los unos a los otros,
Let us love one another,
ya que Él nos amó primero.
just as he loved us first.
El que dice yo amo a Dios
Those who say that they love God
y odia a su hermano
and those who say they hate their brothers
es un mentiroso.
are liars.
¿Cómo puede amar a Dios a quien no ve?
How can you love God if you cannot see?
Si no ama a su hermano al que ve.
If you not love your brother who you do see?
Él mismo nos ordenó, el que ame a Dios, ame también a su hermano.
God ordered us. If you love him, you should love your brother as well.
Padre de bondad, Dios de misericordia,
Lord above us,
ten misericordia de Kilmer y toda su familia,
have mercy on Kilmar and all of his family members,
y de todas aquellas familias que se sienten destrozadas y divididas.
and to all of the families who too feel destroyed and divided.
Que toda esta administración entienda
That this administration finally understands
lo que es la unidad del país de los Estados Unidos.
what the true unity of this country means.
Que al igual que el país es tan grande y tan unido, deben las familias estar unidas.
Just like the country is so big, we must ensure that the families are united,
Que ya no hayan familias divididas ni heridas.
that there be no more harm onto families and families divided,
Sino al contrario, hayan familias unidas, llenas de paz y amor.
In the contrary, we should have families that are united, filled with peace and love.
Que la justicia se humanice y se llene de amor.
Justice should be human and be filled with love.
Todo te lo pedimos a ti, Padre de bondad y de amor.
We ask you this, Father, and with love.
Amén.
Amen.
Thank you, Padre Vidal. Thank you for your thoughtful words and continued support. At this time, I would like to welcome Simon Sandoval Moshamburger. I'm sorry, pronounced you wrong. From Ray Osorio, one of Kilmer's attorneys, who will provide remarks and help us address questions from the press.
Good afternoon. I'll speak in English and then in Spanish. My name is Simon Sandoval Moshenberg. I'm a partner at Murray Osorio, and together with the law firm of Quinn Emanuel, we represent Mr. Abrego Garcia. I think it's fair to say that nothing happened in court today, but I want to explain why that's the government's fault and why it represents a loss for the government. As you'll recall, since August of last year, Mr. Abrego Garcia has an injunction from this court preventing him from being removed from the country unless he's actually given due process, which he obviously has not been given yet. In December of last year, this court ordered him released from ICE detention, and then in February of last year, this court ordered that he may not be taken back into ICE detention unless he violates his conditions of release, which obviously he hasn't done and won't do. And also in February of last year, the court sort of reiterated its injunction against removing him to Africa without due process. In March, the government filed a motion seeking to lift those injunctions, right? Seeking permission from this court to rearrest him, take him back into an ICE detention center, and then remove him to Liberia. And they provided what they considered two new pieces of evidence, a sort of mock flight manifest showing that they have the ability to gas up a plane and take him to Liberia, and then a letter from outgoing acting ICE head Todd Lyons, sort of explaining why, to their mind, they need to send him to Liberia instead of sending him to Costa Rica, which is the country that has offered him refugee status. So they filed that motion in March. Today's hearing was supposed to be on whether they can take Mr. Abrego Garcia back into the ICE detention center and deport him to Africa. But since March, they have essentially frustrated the judge from even ruling on that motion time and time again by filing an appeal that the judge is considering whether it's a frivolous appeal, by essentially lots of other means. And at the end of the day, instead of the big, climactic hearing at which they were hoping that they were going to get the judge to reverse her orders, and allow them to take Mr. Abrego Garcia, out the back door. Instead, today really fizzled out and nothing happened, and the status quo continues. The case has now been sort of split. It's continuing here. It's going to go forward at the Fourth Circuit Court of Appeals in Richmond. But in the meanwhile, since the government is unwilling to send him to Costa Rica for really, to date, unexplained reasons, the order continues that they're not allowed to deport him to Africa instead. And since they're not allowed to deport him to Africa instead, the order continues that they're not allowed to take him back into ICE custody and put him back in the detention center. So essentially we are where we've continued to be, at a stalemate caused by the government. And what the judge really just pointed out very methodically, step by step, is that demolishes the government's argument that what they're trying to do is deport Mr. Abrego Garcia from the United States. Right? If that's what they wanted to do, they would have done that, almost a year ago when he first designated Costa Rica as his preferred country of removal.
Simon, can you explain one thing? Judge Zines asked Molina about the choice of one country or another. And Molina said it's a matter of discretion and it's not reviewable. And Judge Zines then said, so he's not in the BDD class. And Molina said he is not. What does that mean?
So again, the government has used this case to be its sort of number one flag bearer for their proposition that DHS gets to do whatever it wants to whomever it wants, whenever it wants, and district courts and federal judges can't review that, right? And so instead of defending the decision, here's why it has to be Liberia, here's why it can't be Costa Rica, here are some reasons for you. Instead, they're just putting forward the argument that it doesn't matter whether or not there are reasons, it doesn't matter what the reasons are, because you, judge, don't have anything to say about it, because we get to pick, right? We get to pick whether we send someone to, Liberia, Lebanon, or, Luxembourg, right? It's up to us, and no judge can tell us one way or the other. And so that's sort of what that whole exchange was representative of.
And she's ordered new motions to be filed. What is that all about?
I would say essentially kind of cleaning up. We're supposed to sort of tell her what's left in the case, basically, what's left for her to do. So we have 2 weeks to file. The government will have 2 weeks to respond. After that, we'll have 2 weeks to reply. And then, we'll see where the court ends up coming down, right? I mean, as of right now, the injunctions preventing his removal and preventing his rearrest are temporary, right? They're preliminary injunctions, they're temporary injunctions. They don't have an end date, right? So they're indefinite, but they're not permanent. What the practical difference is between indefinite and permanent, what the daylight is sort of the type of matter that lawyers, it's sort of more of a lawyerly distinction than a practical distinction, I'd say. Right, so as of right now, he continues with an injunction prohibiting his removal and prohibiting his rearrest with no end date. And the government's big attempt to make those go away today just fizzled out.
If Judge Zines finds that the notice of appeal was frivolous, what's the legal ramifications of that? And also, what's the status of potential sanctions and contempt motions that have been in the air for months?
Yeah, I mean, that'll be the next step, right? If he finds the appeal to have been frivolous, the next question will be, should they be sanctioned for having filed a frivolous appeal? Yeah, we'll cross that bridge.
Okay, and on the first question, what would finding the notice frivolous
It would mean that the case returns fully to this courthouse, right?
Okay.
And the Federal Court of Appeals in Richmond sort of no longer has anything to do with the matter,
Okay.
essentially.
Abogado en español, ¿qué se llevó a cabo el día de hoy?
Realmente se puede decir que hoy prácticamente no pasó nada. Pero esto realmente es una pérdida para el gobierno. Y es importante que entendamos que el hecho de que no haya pasado nada hoy realmente es una victoria, otra victoria para Kilmar Abrego García. Acordemos que desde agosto del año pasado, él tiene una orden prohibiendo su deportación, al menos que le den un cierto debido proceso que no han querido darle. Desde diciembre del año pasado, la jueza le ordenó libre del centro de detención y desde febrero de este año, la jueza reiteró sus órdenes anteriores prohibiendo su deportación y prohibiendo que lo vuelvan a arrestar. En marzo, el gobierno hizo una solicitud con mucho esfuerzo, con muchas ganas. Hicieron una solicitud para que esta jueza levantara sus órdenes anteriores para permitir a ICE que lo vuelvan a arrestar, que lo deporten a Liberia. Supuestamente, el propósito de la audiencia de hoy era, según el gobierno, supuestamente ellos lo que querían de la audiencia de hoy era que ellos tuvieran permiso de prácticamente sacarlo esposado de la corte, llevarlo otra vez al centro de detención y llevarlo a un avión. Y obviamente esto no pasó. Y no pasó porque el gobierno, después de hacer esta solicitud en marzo, prácticamente ha hecho un montón de maniobras legales para prohibir que la misma jueza decidiera esta misma solicitud del gobierno. Entonces realmente lo que se ve es que no es cierto que lo que el gobierno más quiere es deportar a Abrego García. Si esto es lo que quisieron, lo habían hecho hace mucho tiempo ya a Costa Rica. Él ha mantenido firme en su decisión de aceptar la oferta del estatus de refugiado que el gobierno de Costa Rica le haya ofrecido. ¿Y quién está prohibiendo que esto suceda? ¿Quién está manteniendo al Kilmar Abrego García dentro de Maryland, dentro de los Estados Unidos? Es el gobierno de Estados Unidos. Ellos no están aceptando, no están permitiendo que él vaya a Costa Rica a aceptar el estatus de refugiado que ellos le hayan ofrecido. Entonces, seguimos donde estamos. Tiene una orden, claro, esa orden es temporaria, pero no tiene fecha límite, no vence ninguna fecha. Y mientras tanto, sigue aquí, en la lucha.
I'm sorry, I'm sorry to ask some, I had kind of similar questions to you about what happened here today. Am I right in saying that Mr. Garcia cannot be taken into ICE custody and cannot be deported until or unless this judge lifts the injunction? Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Correct.
She said, I'll have some decisions for you shortly. What are those, and what are the motions or the things you still have to clean up?
Yeah, I mean, so we filed, for example, a discovery motion, right, asking for, the government filed essentially a memorandum from Todd Lyons, acting director of ICE. We want to put him to the question, right? We want to make him raise his right hand, sort of tell the truth, and either in the form of a deposition or in the form of eyewitness testimony. right? They ought not be able to hide behind legalisms. They ought to have to finally, once and for all, answer the question of what is the reason why you don't want to allow him to go to Costa Rica. But at the end of the day, that discovery motion is really in the service of deciding sort of the case overall, right? And so if the judge decides that, sort of she's fine with things where they are, then things sort of stay where they are. We'll see. I mean, at the end of the day, we'll see if this goes anywhere.
And I wanted just one last thing. I want to make sure I heard this correctly. We were talking about it. Did I hear correctly? Mr. Molina basically said, "Oh yeah, he can self-deport to Costa Rica if he wants, and we can remove him to Liberia." But they couldn't say what would happen with the criminal injunction in either case. They couldn't actually assure him he wouldn't be taken into custody in either country. Is that what
Right. The reason that they can't answer that very straightforward question is that if they answer the question honestly, which is yes, if he leaves the country or if he gets deported, we'll dismiss the injunction, right? I mean, that's what the honest answer would be. But that answer essentially makes our case that this whole deportation to Liberia process has been punitive, right? Has been not the sort of legitimate exercise of government discretion and legitimate exercise of government functioning of carrying out a removal order issued by an immigration judge, but rather punishing a man for having stood up for his rights.
¿Me contesta esto en español también?
Que la razón de la jueza hizo la pregunta mínimo 3 veces de, bueno, si lo deportan, ¿qué pasa con el caso criminal en su contra en Tennessee? Y no lo quisieron contestar. Y la razón de que no lo quisieron contestar es porque si ellos daban la respuesta verdadera, que es,
si lo deportan, entonces ya no hay caso criminal en su contra. Esto demuestra que todo lo que ha pasado realmente no es un legítimo uso de ICE, de deportaciones, no es procesos normales gubernamentales, sino al contrario, realmente todo eso haya sido una campaña de castigarlo por haber reivindicado sus derechos.
And Simon, is there something before the Fourth Circuit? Did the government appeal something? And
yeah,
what are we waiting for there?
They filed an appeal, which we consider to be frivolous, because they filed an appeal of nothing.
And the Fourth Circuit has set out sort of its ordinary briefing calendar. I don't need to look up on the docket. I think their brief is due in late June. We'll have time to reply after that. There'll be a response. Certainly they haven't filed any emergency motions. They're not seeking expedited consideration before the Fourth Circuit. But so that process will take several months to play out.
So in the simplest terms, how would you explain you're at a stalemate?
We're at a stalemate. They filed a motion seeking permission to deport him.
And then they proceeded to tie the judge's hands from actually deciding that motion. And so therefore the motion can't be decided, and so therefore they can't deport him.
But at what point does Mr. Garcia just living in limbo become unfair enough for the judge to just say, and for them to, I mean, this isn't the first time they've come to court totally unprepared to answer questions. I'd get in trouble if that happened to me as a kid or, when I was in school. But at what point does she have any power to just say, I'm done with you, this is over?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a fair point, right? And there was also an amicus brief that was filed in this court by some law professors that essentially made that point, that this has gone beyond immigration. This isn't even an immigration case anymore, right? It's essentially analogous to a criminal case in that what they're trying to do is punish someone, not sort of carry out a removal order. We'll see sort of what happens next. There's a certain extent to which the ball's in the government's court, right? I mean, they could withdraw their appeal from the Fourth Circuit. They could file yet another motion, but as of right now, yeah, I think we're at a bit of a stalemate.
What does it mean for everyone else who's in this legal immigration case system?
I mean, this is far from the only case in which they're seeking to deport someone to a third country that person has no connection with whatsoever, right? This has become a common feature of the immigration landscape these days. There's been over 10,000 Central Americans and Cubans who've been deported to Mexico, right, in the past year. So it could be, I mean, this would be speculation on my part, but it could be that the reason that the government is ultimately not pushing this case towards a final ruling is that it doesn't want a bad ruling that will be used in other third country deportation cases against it. I don't know, that's just speculation.
Didn't Judge Zini say that the government is sending people they wanted to deport.
That's
to
exactly
Costa
right. They
Rica?
entered in, at the same time that they're absolutely inexplicably refusing to send Mr. Abrego Garcia to Costa Rica. They entered into a third country removal agreement with Costa Rica, under which Costa Rica is accepting 25 non-citizens per week from the United States. And I know of at least 2 plane loads that have gone out under that agreement. At least 2 plane loads of 25 non-citizens each, right? There may have been more, I'm aware of 2. So, you know, really just nothing that they're saying. I don't know how they can say this.
And how much is the United States paying Costa Rica for that program? Is there an agreement like
how much, you know, the payments to El Salvador were ultimately revealed, but how much are we paying to all these other countries, right? Like, is Liberia willing, you know, saying that Liberia, the government claims that Liberia has said they're willing to accept Mr. Abrego Garcia. I have my doubts, but if that is in fact the case, I can't imagine they're doing that out of the goodness of their heart.
Right. A quick legal question: if Judge Zines finds that that the government's actions were punitive and vindictive with Abrego, how does that affect the pending vindictive prosecution motion in Tennessee, and vice versa? How would a finding of vindictiveness there affect proceedings here?
Yeah, that's a great question. I don't actually have an answer to that, but certainly the two are related. I mean, as the judge made clear today,
the government tried to sort of divorce the 2 proceedings from each other and say they have nothing to do with each other, right? And the judge made very clear today that that's not the case. Exactly how would those 2 findings relate with each other is a great question.
¿Cuáles son los siguientes procesos que van a ocurrir y también qué representa este caso para otros casos similares?
Bueno, el abogado defensor criminal ha sometido una moción ante la Corte Criminal en Tennessee
de votar los cargos en su contra y estamos esperando respuesta a esta solicitud del juez en Tennessee. Eso probablemente va a ser la próxima cosa que sucede en este caso. Obviamente no sabemos cuándo eso va a suceder, no tenemos fecha, pero probablemente el siguiente suceso será un fallo de la Corte Criminal en Tennessee.
¿Y qué representa este caso para otros casos similares?
Realmente el tema de deportaciones a terceros países no es exclusivo aquí en Abrego García. Han habido más de 10,000 centroamericanos y cubanos que han mandado a México ya. Y siguen tratando de deportar gente a otros países en África, a Ghana, a Eswatini. Entonces, eso realmente es un tema muy fuerte hoy en día. Y el hecho de que Abrego García está luchando en contra de esto es algo que ayuda a esas otras personas en sus procesos de corte, pero la mayoría de esas deportaciones son porque la gente no coge abogado a tiempo, realmente. Entonces es muy importante si uno es designado para una deportación a un tercer país, inmediatamente contratar a un abogado. Right, thanks very much.
Yeah, thank you, Simon. And thank you again to everyone who joined us today. To our community members, advocates, partners, members of the press, and all those who have continued to stand with Kilmer and his family. We appreciate your time, your attention, and your continued support. This concludes today's press giggle. Thank you and have a good afternoon.